Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to some Toronto Raptors news, Ryker, and obviously we've broken it down. It was speculated for a long time and made official a couple of days ago. The Raptors have acquired Precious Achiuwa and Goran Dragic. Pronouncing his name, we're learning the name correctly, but he might have earned the Charles Barkley mispronunciations for us for at least the next little while, Ryker, because he came out with an unfortunate quote that he said in an interview for a guy that's been a professional, that's been in the league for a long time. He came out and said that Toronto is not his preferred destination, and I have higher ambitions. We shall see. Now, there's questions about the official translation because he did say it in Slovenian, so it wasn't initially in English, but this is the translation that's been going around. Maybe someone made a meme about it and it got picked up by all the sports. Once everyone else is reporting it, we think it's safe to say if we got a Sportsnet graphic on here. But that was quickly followed by a profuse apology that came out. He apologized to the Toronto Raptors fans, says he's always been professional, and regardless of what team he's on, he's going to give 100%, work everything out, and he wants to make things better, and he feels really bad, and all these sorts of things, Ryker. But this is not a good look for a guy coming into this team, saying he doesn't think the Raptors are going to be competitive. What are your initial thoughts on this message from Goran Dragic?
Well, you made it sound like it was a proper apology, but I'm reading it like it's not really an apology. He just said, okay, he said I would like to apologize. Yeah. It didn't come out the right way. Well, What way is the right way when you said, I don't want to be here, I have further ambitions? They should be proud of their team. I know they love their team. Well, that's your team now too there, buddy. So I'm not sure that none of that sounds like an apology to me. And then he just goes on to justify that he's a professional. He'll do his job. That's hardly an apology. And then he likes basketball. He'll give 100%. Okay, maybe that last little bit. And the rumors still have it that the Mavericks are interested in Goran Dragic. I almost made the mistake there too, Ben.
You know what?
And
he
maybe
deserves the mistakes in this podcast, Ryker. He deserves the mispronunciations.
Wow, so there's you're not willing to let him atone for his sins there and insulting the Raptors early?
Dragic.
It's got to just be immediate. That's true. But we're spoiled with Scotty Barnes, who's come out with the Toronto lingo, dropping buckets and assists, rebounds, steals, stat sheet stuffing in his Summer League debut. So this is a bit insulting almost, but is it? I'm still holding out hope that we might flip him for Stinky Pinky. I don't know. Maybe that's just a little bit crazy now because we've figured out our depth. Well, we've somewhat figured out our depth at that 4-5 spot. So we'll see how the season plays out, Ben. If he plays with the team, is this going to hold him back? Is it going to limit his minutes? Is all of a sudden Sam Dekker going to get those backup 2 minutes?
Sam Dekker. We're getting very weird. Sam Dekker stole Malachi Flynn's 8, so I want to on NBA Jersey Watch, as you know, I'm pretty into. But yeah, we broke it down. We were pretty excited for Dragic to come in and play that backup.
I'm still excited.
Yeah, like because he could be a.
You said we were.
Pardon?
You said we were pretty. I'm still excited.
Yeah, I'm saying in the previous video, and I'm elaborating how we still think he's a positive player to have on this roster regardless. I don't think Dragic is going to be a guy that's going to sit there and pout and Andre Iguodala his way out of the same way he did out of Memphis. I think Dragic would come in, make his $19 million that was only picked up because he was in this trade. So really, there should be no complaints from Dragic there. And obviously, you're playing in the NBA, so you should know about teams, but there's still reputations that, if the bigger markets, they have more value, and there's maybe still a stigma, especially with the Raptors tanked last season, that they're just a bad roster, right? They don't have the high profile named players. And as Bobby Webster came out and reported, he's the person that's saying it, but he came out and said he'd like to hear this quote directly from Dragic if he does see Toronto as undesirable, right? And go from there if that's the case, because obviously if someone doesn't want to play for your team, it's likely that they'll get moved. So he's not going to overreact to just some quote that could be taken out of miscontext in a foreign language that was just in front of on a street corner, so it wasn't really anything official there. And then he also says, and seem up some confusion considering that he thinks that the Toronto Raptors will be very competitive this season. And I've made it known on this podcast that I think the Toronto Raptors could easily be top 4 in the Eastern Conference. It's my prediction. So I think it's really surprising that this is sort of the tone coming from this quote, that he's worried about competitiveness, because we do have that solid core, and Webster does bring this up because we have that core of young players that have been there in the finals just a couple seasons prior, right? We have a strong roster built around them. You're leaning back in your chair doing the hand
It's not
gestures.
surprising, though, because you think the Raptors can be top 4. Can they be top 1? Can they get out of the Eastern Conference? Can they win the championship? Maybe. Probably not. Maybe. I mean, it'd be crazy to say that they could do that next season. And this is a guy that just came 2 seasons ago from a team that was in the NBA Finals against Los Angeles and came up short. So it clearly is a step back to go from a team that was NBA Finals, bounced early in the first round, to a team that didn't even make the playoffs. They were tanking, 12th seed in the East. So from his perspective, he's getting older. His days of lucrative contracts are getting less and less. And now he's moved to a team that's a lot of young guys that he might think is in rebuild mode. Then you layer in your points about, they will be more competitive than he thinks. And his role will help out with the Toronto Raptors if he ends up playing for them and doesn't get traded to the Dallas Mavericks. And I think he'll have a lot of fun playing with this core unit, because he's expected to just come off and score. There's not a ton of pressure on him. Malachi Flynn can do that job, or Chris Boucher can do that job. But if he if he still wants to go out there and ball, hey, there's time for him. There's plenty of minutes. There's nobody competing for that 2 spot as of right now. So I could see from his perspective why he'd feel like this is taking a step back when he's probably at the twilight of his career, probably wants to go play with Luka, be on a team that is favorited to at least be a contender to get out of their respective conference. But you and I both know the Raptors, they still have a lot of fire, a lot of passion, a lot of energy to go out there and surprise a lot of the American media.
Yeah. And I see where you're coming from too, just in terms of name brand, because I think right now, who do you think would have a better season, the Dallas Mavericks or the Toronto Raptors, just right now?
Dallas. What?
Get out of here with that. I think
Dallas is always a win away from being probably, like, if they don't get stopped by the Clippers, they're probably Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, but they were a mid-tier Western Conference squad, and what did they bring in? Reggie Bullock and Kristaps Porzingis had a Ben Simmons-esque playoffs last season, right? He was good for them in the regular season last year. That was a big reason why they were in the.
And they were only one game away. They were only one wing defender away, or one scorer away.
But if Porzingis is that disgruntled, that frustrated, we know he's an emotional guy. I want to make this a Dallas Mavericks for our 2 teams, Riker. I don't want us to get into a little debate there, but I personally think the Toronto Raptors will be better. And people flame me for my optimism about this squad, but you'll be proven wrong. But regardless of all that fact, where we think will actually be the after a tanking season, it makes sense for guys coming in to see, this is a rebuilding squad. Fair enough, right? We'll back off and we'll see. We understand where Dragic is coming from. We won't completely... It's Dragic this podcast. It's Dragic this podcast. I'm not stressing about it this podcast. If I get it right, I get it right. But if I get it wrong, I'm not worried a single bit. But Riker, clearly, right, we're not going to necessarily flame for that. For the Raptors played the Kazoos all year. They kind of deserve it, I guess. But the real question is, as you mentioned, the apology still used. They're a great team. They're a this. They're a that. I don't want to be unprofessional, and if I'm there, I'll play. But it does seem like he does want to be traded, and clearly he wants to be traded after that quote. I don't think the guilt will drag him back to the Toronto Raptors team, or at least the desire, until the team actually starts winning, if that's the case. But do you think he starts on this Toronto Raptors team opening night?
What? No, why would he start opening night?
No,
is Gary Trent Jr. injured?
No, starts on the team. Like opening night, he's on the Toronto Raptors roster.
Of course. Yeah, he's not getting... Listen, if he was going to get moved to Dallas, it would have already happened. It took 3 days to announce who the Raptors were receiving in the sign and trade for Kyle Lowry. The Kyle Lowry was announced immediately.
Yep.
And by all reports and speculations and rumors, it's because they were trying to bring Dallas into the table as that third team to flip Dragic and maybe Dragic and Achua over to the Mavericks. So that didn't happen. Now we end up with them. I don't see now because he made one comment.
Don't even think that's. I'm watching more highlights of him. Watch some of his games and not with Team Nigeria.
I need to, clearly.
He's hitting threes.
In Nigeria. You watch the African League. You watch J. Cole World. You watched him play, and you said how bad that league was.
Playing against.
Okay. In the Olympics.
Get out of here with this.
I thought you were saying
Team Nigeria is nasty. You saw all the memes.
No. I thought you were talking about
He's
African
blocking
League.
KD. He's sending memes to Kevin Durant saying you're not that guy. That's a player I want on the Toronto Raptors. He's gonna be swatting KD in the conference finals this year. But sorry to cut you off.
I love that rant so much. I forgot what I was going to say, but I suspect we'll see Dragic.
It took long because Dragic and Precious going to Dallas. But
Dragic, you're killing it this podcast.
I'm doing it on purpose. I'm doing it on purpose.
It makes sense to me we start the season with him, but we said from the beginning, well, at least I did. And if I didn't, I said it in my head. We'll probably trade him before the deadline because Dragic isn't going to be the guy that's going to make or break our team if we're making a playoff push. And maybe I'll eat my words, but I don't feel that he's going to be that guy.
If he's making our playoff push, then I'll greatly eat my words.
Yeah,
I'll eat your words with you.
Yeah. All right, so we got to get some SpaghettiOs clearly, and we'll just make that a thing. Ben, we don't need to ramble on too much to break down a guy's 2 sentences and then 3-paragraph apology. I don't need to read into it a lot because I'm not personally offended that he said these things. I can understand that he feels like he might be taking a step back from where he wants to be at the twilight of his career, but I like that he said he's professional, he's willing to play. If he suits up with the Raptors, which he will, he's going to come out producing, which is all we need from him.
Yeah. And I agree with you on the points. If he's going to get traded, probably was earlier, unless something big comes down the pipe or a different team comes out. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to sit there and pout and demand a trade from a certain squad. But I wouldn't be shocked if he was moved to another team, even if it's not Dallas. But I don't think it's going to happen. As you said, probably the trade deadline if he's not balling out of his mind for the Toronto Raptors. But it is what it is. And he deserves to have his name mispronounced, at least on this podcast alone. But he could be good for us. He could be a Raptor. So don't boo him, I guess, on opening night. That's my only take to Raptors fans. But you're the best for making this far. Check out our Instagram, the TikTok, all that cool stuff. Lots of vids, lots of content coming on this channel. So we're almost there, guys. The car has almost pulled up on 20K subscribers. So, get the guy that Kyle Lowry, he's driving to Miami. He's on that road, right? From Toronto. I guess it's from Tampa, so it's only a 2-3 hour drive. But we're saying he's driving from Toronto, so get there before he gets to Miami. But Ryker, do you have any last words on Dragic? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm calling him. Slander
people like you
Raptors.
That he doesn't want to play with the Toronto Raptors, so you better watch it, sir. He's going to be disappointed when he hears this podcast. So maybe the Slovenian translation, it'll come off a lot more positive towards him. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not worried about it. I'm excited to see him lace up as a Toronto Raptor to start the season. That's it, Ben. Cheers.